It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, how you doing, first of all?
I'm a little tired. I had to stay up late and finish Better Call Saul as per your instructions. So,
because I wanted to be able. Yeah, and I noticed you got it like you're like the little girl with the curl in her forehead, as Harry Carey would say. There's a little curl you got going there. I really like that effect.
Well, it's in honor of Elvis Presley. It's his,
I see. I see.
It's his moment on the throne was.
Was it? That's 1977, yep. Right? Is that the day that happened?
Yep.
Yeah, the year that happened.
45 years ago today.
45, and he was famous for his 45 records, and yeah, Elvis. What? Well, so this is tough. Is today the date then?
Yeah, that's today.
Okay.
45 records. That was actually interesting. They were developed by RCA. So that you had to buy an RCA record player in order to play RCA records and listen to Elvis.
I didn't know. We had the entire album of Oklahoma, the musical, on 45s, and you were only supposed to put like maybe 3 records on a spindle, but I tried to put the entire album, like 12 records on there, and the spindle would be wobbling all over the place, and Poor Judd is Dead sounded like Poor Judd is dead. It was bad. But
I always thought that there was a reason for the big hole. If it had something to do with fidelity or something or stackability. No, it was just RCA. They just didn't want. They wanted their records to only play on an RCA machine.
I get it. I totally get it. Well, my masters speak right now, if to use an RCA term, about Better Call Saul, which you stayed up for, and I really liked. It's because I need all these shows explained to me, so I read the New York Times review by a guy named Siegel, and I actually tweeted to him and I said, "Bravo!" Especially for those of us who can't remember one episode to the next, let alone one season to the next. I mean, they had so many references, and this. Oh, spoiler alert! We're talking about the Better Call Saul finale. Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're doing it right up front, so you don't, so you can just erase the whole show.
Yeah, right. So there were so many references to things that happened in Breaking Bad and other things that I vaguely remembered, but they inserted new dialogue, new scenes within other scenes, like when he and Mike are out in the desert, which I remembered, but I don't remember what the whole. I remember they're running away with money, but the whole thing was about time machines, and then of course he gives his brother the book, The Time Machine. So there's this whole time motif here, and could you redo something in your life that you wanted to do? And of course with Saul back in the days with Mike, it was just he just wanted to join Warren Berkshire what's his name at Berkshire Hathaway, and he I'd have to throw myself back into the 60s for that to remember Warren Buffett.
And is that your biggest regret? I somehow thought if you had a chance to go back in time and recorrect one of your regrets, it would be the day that Chris called you and said, "Hey, would you like to do a show called The Weekly Wrap?"
Well, there are so many regrets that I have over and above that one. I can't even get to that one. No, but that was Saul's regret that he didn't make, and Mike's to go into him. All you care about is the money. And
Walter. There's Walter.
And Walter did it too. I mean, so that was interesting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. It was Mike that said, "All you care about the money."
Right.
And Walter said.
What I did like was that I actually was on the same wavelength as this New York Times guy who summarized everything. I felt really smart because last night, as I saw it in real time in the courtroom, when he decided to confess, I said, "Oh, this is his own Perry Mason moment right now." Only instead of having Perry Mason get it out of him, he gets it out of himself since he's his own attorney. So it's all a lot of soul searching going on in there. It was didn't you just love the way the whole thing was filmed and the characters?
I've always loved.
A lot of it dragged over the years, and some of the plot went nowhere, I guess, but it was a lot of fun.
I just loved the Gilligan's penchant for focusing on little items like at the beginning of this season, as they're packing away all of Saul's stuff, you see the tequila bottle top
right
roll into the gutter.
No, there were always teases. I mean, they did that in Breaking Bad as well, where you see a little toy in a swimming pool, and then you don't find out till like 3 seasons later that it's from an airplane that exploded.
Right.
You know, so, oh, aha, I noticed that. But and I'm only human. I have a hard enough time, or had a hard enough time, when I would read books and read them all the way through in like a week, remembering what had happened 18 chapters ago. And this is just, I mean, you can't be expected. Game of Thrones was the worst as far as I couldn't keep my Baratheons from
No, I never could.
Doubles and whoever, and I didn't know who was a good guy, who was a bad guy. And
yeah, Game of Thrones, I think if I watched a second time, I would be able to follow it a little bit more, a little bit closer, because I kind of knew the Baratheons from the Targaryens, and
and one dragon from the next. We watched Breaking Bad again, and we watched it. We binged it, and then it all made sense. All the seasons were put together, and they made sense. But anyway. The Siegel guy also had a thing about how he had a line which made me laugh, about how we were so happy when Saul, or at this point he's whatever, Gene, the Cinnabon guy, when he restrains himself and doesn't strangle Carol Burnett. And the writer says, and yeah, I know her character's name in here, but it's Carol Burnett, that he was going to be strangled. And it's like, yeah, right. You can't strangle Carol Burnett. It reminds me of, because and she played a great character and all, but she transcends the character. I mean, she's a legend. Reminds me of, Letterman, when, of all people, Chris Elliott made a movie called Cabin Boy. Which, I don't know if you remember this. I saw it in the afternoon, and then for some reason we were with other people, and I had to see it again at night. It was a torture chamber to actually see that movie twice. The first time was okay, but the second I was hoping for some kind of change in the movie, but it didn't change. But Letterman is in it, and he has a cameo, and of course, it's Letterman playing Letterman, and they're breaking the fourth wall practically, and it doesn't work at all. They know it doesn't work. They know it's a joke. It's jumping the shark, breaking the fourth wall, jumping through the shark, and with Carol Burnett, it walked right up to the border of that. I think.
Yeah, that movie was so bad that it put Chris Elliott's career on hold for 30 years.
You did see it then, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No,
that's how bad it was.
You saw it twice, so you saw it once.
Yeah,
for me.
I saw it for you too. Anyway, did you think that love conquered all, that he just had to take the hit for Kim, or was it that his soul decided to turn to the good?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's the interesting thing, it's I thought, did he really have that moment with his brother, that conversation, or did he actually go back in a time machine? Interesting. Huh?
That is, oh man, heavy.
Because that's
heavy.
the book.
Pass me the bong right now. I mean, seriously, and I've never even used one. That's blowing my mind, man. He actually did go. You know what? And that part was in color. Now, when you go back, aren't you supposed to go back into black and white? According to Pleasantville, the old days are in black and white, and the new days are in color. But in this show, the old days were in color, and the new was in black and white.
But in The Wizard of Oz, when you get hit on the head, that's when it's in color.
Which is, by the way, and I know I've said this before, one of the top 3 or 4 moments in my life was when I finally saw it, because I had seen The Wizard of Oz like 5 or 6 times as a kid, entirely in black and white. We finally get a color TV on February the 18th, 1966, just to go back into the Wayback Machine here. And when that happens, it's like, I can't believe it. It's in color. Great. One of the greatest. That was revelatory. It made me believe in God. I believe. I I didn't need any more convincing. Anyway,
a couple interesting things that I saw, because I was looking, I actually looked for Easter eggs, because I was saying, I think I probably missed a lot, because there were little things like when Carol Burnett was watching the video, which, by the way, I think was a lapse, because she had a dial-up modem in her computer, and yet she was able to view a video.
Oh, really? So that's anachronistic. That's like when they had 1979 cars on the causeway with Sonny on the turnpike in Godfather. Wait a minute.
But you could see the reflection of the video in his glasses, and it was in color. Did you notice that? Little things like that. And when Kim lit that cigarette for him in the very end of the two of them, and the end of the cigarette and the lighter was in color.
Oh, and do you know that was a reprisal of their first meeting when they lit cigarettes together?
Yeah.
It was very Seinfeldian that way, where you remember Seinfeld ended with them in jail describing a button on his shirt, and that's how they met years ago. One of the first scenes they had as well. I'm sure they were going for a Seinfeld effect there. That was an Alpha and Omega thing, bookending the entire experience. Well, now I only knew that because I read that. I wouldn't have remembered. But you see the color on the ash. Okay. All right, that's a good piece of ash you described there. And we have milked an entire segment.
I knew we would. I knew we would. Bruce
there we go.
Chris didn't think it was possible, but there we go.
Next segment, we talk about My Mother the Car, all 18 episodes of it. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and
one thing I didn't get to mention on the
yes, and we would like to have a coda on the Better Call Saul, and you just get in the last word, smarty pants. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
No, I looked this up. I was looking for the Easter eggs because of the color in the glasses and stuff like that. I wanted to see what else I missed. And something I didn't realize about the series is that each season used the same 10 photos throughout to introduce the show, like the title card, so to speak. And it started with the blow up Statue of Liberty and ended with the world's greatest lawyer broken mug. And that each season, episode 1, season 1, episode 2, season 2, it would still be the Statue of Liberty. But each subsequent season, it was like it was on a VHS tape that slowly degraded. And the 10 pictures slowly degraded from 1 through 6. And then when it got to 6, and then when it got to after, because there were 3 more episodes, that's when you got the blue screen with the Better Call Saul readout, like in 8-bit font.
You just passed me the bong. Wow. While you do your carbon 14 dating method to the Shroud of Turin cha-cha. I mean, gee whiz, that is, I don't know. Does anybody notice that?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's freaks that love these little puzzles.
Yeah, and you're one of them. Listen, I thought, oh, this is cool. I'm recognizing that they're showing the rack in his closet with all his fancy idiotic suits, and then the last thing there is the Department of Corrections jersey that he's got. Oh, I'm smart. I noticed that, but right. The degrading of the VHS. Okay, that's wonderful. And just, you know what? Apropos of nothing, I don't care. You can chime in more Saul things through the rest after the rest of this podcast with more Saulisms or Solecisms. Anyway, let's move on to something else. I hate to do it, something so mundane as trying to read a chart correctly, but somebody tweeted that, and I thought this was off. And I love this about Twitter. You can go for answers. Somebody tweeted that Gen Z has 86% less purchasing power compared to baby boomers when they were in their 20s. Americans have seen wages increase by 80% since the 70s. However, the consumer price index has increased by over 500%. So I called upon my good buddy, a fan of mine from the old days, Jim Pethokoukis, of the American Enterprise Institute, Jeopardy winner and everything like that. Real smart guy. So he replied to me with a graph that shows the consumer price index and wages over since 1973. And if you look at the graph, that's not the tweet that I'm referring to, although that's a good tweet as well. But the graph says that that basically wages have gone up, and so has this consumer price index. And they're about equal, well, as of 2018. But it doesn't show that necessarily that there's been the prices maybe recently have gone up a lot because we've had inflation, but it seems, if I'm reading this graph correctly, and I'm not showing it to you right now, it seems like wages have stayed level with or greater than the prices. So, but I don't know, what's your experience on it?
The wages and prices?
Well, I think wages. In other words, we are richer now than we were 50 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody has a Radio Shack in their pocket, an entire radio
and that's
shack.
the one thing that I don't care how much money you were making, or you couldn't have if the price had been $10 billion, you would have paid for the Radio Shack thing in your pocket 50 years ago. Sure. Because you couldn't have gotten it. So we're all wealthier that way.
When I was in my 20s, you had to be rich to have a car with air conditioning and power windows and power locks and stuff that you wouldn't even think of, a button that you would push to start it on a cold winter day from your bed. I mean, all these things that we just kind of take for granted that are the commonplace were not available to people.
No, we're living the king's class. Louis XIV wishes that he lived like us. I mean, he had a chamber pot. Yeah, enough said. Washington had wooden teeth. Okay, enough said about that. Moving on here. This did happen last week, but it was kind of funny. I didn't watch the Field of Dreams game between the Cubs and the Reds. I saw the game the year before with the Deus Ex Machina finish, Tim Anderson homering against the Yankees, and I don't think it could get any better than that. I've actually been to the cornfields in Iowa and felt the spirit of shoeless Joe Jackson. It was great last year, but this year's game, apparently not that many people watched. But also, as Chris, our producer, points out, in the pregame intro, the legends of the game that they were referring to were 50% white and 50% black and no Latinos, when the actual league makeup is 57% white, 31, almost 32% Hispanic, and only 7% black. So it seems like there's a little bit of discrimination that way. And the only, I mean, here we are, we're trying to call Latinos Latinxes, and we can't even get their numbers represented in a baseball game.
Well, actually, if we want, if we want to be historic about baseball, there shouldn't be any minorities there. I don't think.
Oh, you mean as far as
sure.
Right. And Spike Lee said he thought Babe Ruth was the first black baseball player because he did have some Negroid features, and nobody knew who his father was. That was Spike Lee, and and he was also fantastic. So that may
nobody could pitch to him. Who knows? What I think about Field of Dreams, though, it's the whole romanticism around it is a little weird. What I think it's the male version of Somewhere in Time.
Okay.
You know how people will like go to Mackinac Island and dress up in Victorian dress and do Somewhere in Time weekends. I think the same kind of thing happens with guys going to the Field of Dreams.
Well, right. And I have to admit, in the movie theater, I had to choke back the tears when the dads came out and played Had a Catch with their sons. The moment, the big moment is when the cars are lined up and you just see their headlights on. It's kind of like a funeral procession, only it's a resurrection procession because you're going to get to see your dead dad and play catch with him one more time. And I just thinking about it, I choke up right now. Hey,
that and Brian's song. Those are the two things.
Well,
two things where guys are allowed to cry at.
I love shoeless Joe Jackson. I hope you love him too. said Gail Sayers never. The Harry Carey imitator at the game. I don't know if you saw this. I give him credit. I even like the Will Ferrell imitation of Harry Carey, which is nothing like him. And I actually thought this was an actual imitator. It's a hologram of Harry Carey. We're showing it now for those of you.
Holy cow!
I got to tell you something, Tim. Not only do you do a good impersonation, you kind of look a little with the glasses. Have you actually tried to pull that shtick off in your stand-up at all? Doing a Harry?
No, I never have, because most of the people in my audience have been alive less time than Harry's been dead.
Harry's been dead almost 25 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he came back as a hologram. A lot of people criticized it. Apparently they're purists. I'm not a Harry Carey impersonator purist. I welcome anybody who does it. I worked with a guy at Channel 32. His name was Matt Wagner, who later left that job, and he did one of the best Harry Carey impersonations I ever saw. As a matter of fact, we had him on several years for opening day wearing a Cub jacket at Wrigley Field. And Harry did not he was an orphan, and if you mentioned Christmas to him, he'd break down crying. And his life was revolved around baseball. So every year at an opening day, I would talk to him about the game, and he would get excited, and he'd do this Harry Carey impersonation. Then I'd say, "Well, Harry, how was Christmas this past winter?" You have to go there. So that was fun. The sadism was the best part. So then this guy, Matt Wagner, actually became a waiter at Harry Carey's restaurant. So, mean, that's meta, man, to actually become a waiter at the, and for all I know, Dutchie wound up marrying him because she was attracted to a certain type. Dutchie, a nice Jewish girl. Anyway, enough with Field of Dreams till next year. I see on our scorecard here that we've got a tweet from Lawrence Holmes. It's something about baseball being gay in 10 years. I forgot what this is about. Let's take a look. Oh, is this this is the moment in the Little League World Series where the guy gets hit by a pitch and the pitcher feels so bad about it that he has to be consoled by the guy he hit. He gets a hug. And of course, apparently there is crying in baseball if you're under 12 years old.
Oh, man.
Come on, shake it off, man. No.
Oh, God.
So it was actually a sweet
Those
moment.
kids should be playing soccer.
Rub some dirt on your ego, on your soul, whatever. No, actually, it's very sweet, and there is crying.
Usually, no, dude. In real baseball, that's like a bench clearing brawl when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. I certainly hope that the pitcher on the team where the guy got hit retaliated the next inning, and everybody got thrown out of the Little League World Series. That would have been the best thing to happen. Do we have this picture of this fat guy from a century ago that we could just put up here? Somebody put this on Twitter, and to me, it was like, he just looks like every other person at the Wisconsin State Fair. I mean, it didn't look like this was the fat guy in the circus.
Yeah,
a century ago, and it's not even that special. So,
yeah, congratulations to agricultural technology, huh?
Right. I mean,
now everybody can afford to be that fat.
Right. See, consumer price index. We should measure that with the wages and our weight as well. They've all gone up exponentially.
Well, I will swear. I don't know the statistics, but I know it's probably accurate that there are more people today dying from obesity related diseases than are starving to death.
Oh, no question about it. Remember Hunger in America, the CBS special report, from about 60 years ago with the kids with the distended bellies. Now it's like, it's if McDonald's would only not offer fries with that, sir, they'd be a lot better off. Yeah. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Tim, before I rip Jonah Goldberg, threshold question here. What is the latest on the search warrant for Mar-a-Lago? Was the whole thing about the nuclear weapons real, or is that a canard? And by the way, you can save big money at Canards.
It's as real as Russian collusion.
Okay. All right. Now I'll start ripping Jonah. So when it first came out that, this is the excuse from the feds that, he's got these nuclear secrets or whatever. And by the way, Andy McCarthy is to me, the go-to guy on this. I haven't even bothered listening to my beloved commentary podcast because they seem like they're probably just quoting him. I'm guessing. But, because Andy McCarthy's a former federal prosecutor, he knows how to read legal documents. I would have loved to have him scrutinize Saul's plea deal. That'd be funny. Whee! Anyway,
blue ribbon mint chocolate chip ice
goodness.
cream.
The best thing about that Saul thing at the end when he changes the Perry Mason moment is that his attorney and the attorneys for the government are cross talking. They're arguing with each other, and I love how is that written on a script? Are they just ad-libbing that? Because two people are talking at the same time. And of course, that's what usually happens with me because I'm interrupting people all the time, as you well know, Tim. So
some of my best jokes.
Totally. But so anyway, it was out that, there's these nuclear secrets. And then people were saying they were trying to defend Trump as the everyman. And I still think he's going to win or may win with that, because who wants to have the feds just come in and clean out your closets and try on your wife's clothes? Although, if you're going to try on anybody's clothes, it would be Melania's. Hillary's, I wouldn't want.
I wouldn't be able to resist that yellow dress.
Oh my God, it's so fetching. So Jonah Goldberg tweeted, "Just remember, if these reports are true," and of course, so he qualifies it. That means that if they can search an ex-president's home for vital nuclear documents and signals intelligence, they can do it to you too. Okay, nice smart ass comment, Jonah. I credit you for that. I mean, the first time I interviewed Jonah, I said that I had been a subscriber to National Review since the bomb, Red China's bomb issue in October of 1968, and he just hit me right with, "Oh yeah, I remember that. That was the issue with the Phyllis Schlafly centerfold." So the guy's funny. There's no question about it, and there's a reason that he's got a large following. But I always thought that Jonah had it in him to be the next WFB on firing line, and I wish he would have, like Andrew McCarthy, on his podcast and put that wisecrack that I just read to you up against what Andy has to say about the fact that the search warrant is open-ended enough, just as Andy thought, for the government to have used looking for nuclear intelligence as a pretext merely to try to find things, some dirt they could on January 6th, let alone the fact that it just might be Garland having capitulated to the left and just tried to do something there. But this is just wiseassery. And I appreciate wiseassery on Jonah's part, but there isn't a lot of there, and I would love for him to have to face somebody like Andy McCarthy and discuss this kind of thing. Now, for all I know, in the last few days, he's had Andy McCarthy on his podcast. It just seems like he doesn't really want to fight the good fight. He just wants to be a sniper. Am I right? A lot of the time, not all the time. Because there's a lot of substance, a lot of things I like. One
of my favorite lines that's been coming up is that the Melania is so hot she's got nuclear secrets in her panties.
Anyway, with that, let us move on to Password is been resurrected, the Ellen Ludden show, and
sure.
So we're going to play Political Password right now, aren't we, Chris?
We are.
Okay.
Do you need me to explain the rules? Because Bruce, I can do that.
I kind of remember them. It's kind of like charades, only you can talk. Is that right? Or
one word?
One word.
Oh, you just get to say one word.
Correct.
Okay.
And I am the all-time giver. You and Tim will guess. So I say one word. You guess. If you don't get it in that one word, then it goes to Tim, and back and forth till somebody gets it.
Okay. So you know what the word is.
I know what the word is.
The audience does not know what the word is.
The audience will know, because you're either going to, and this is on the honor system, either take your headphones off, or in Bruce's case, headphone off, or hit the mute button.
All right.
Hey, that's a historical item. It belonged to Vincent van Gogh at one point.
How do I know when to put the headphone back on? I hate when we make it a technical workshop here, but how? How do I know?
It's only going to take me, 5 seconds to read the password.
Okay, so should I take my headphones
Good.
off
No,
right
hold
now?
Hold on. Let me quickly let's go through its political password. So it'll be a figure in politics, historically current. It could be a movement. It could be a document.
Okay.
Those are the things that we're kind of going for here.
Okay.
Why do we have to take the headphones off? We're both
because
he's
going to say the
same
password.
So I have to say the password so the audience knows it.
The password is
so they can
substantive
laugh at your
due
foolish
process.
guesses.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait a minute. That's 3 words. Substantive due process. Okay,
Remember,
it's
this
one
is a
word.
person, and unlike Jeopardy, you cannot have the last name. I want a full name, so the password might be 2 actual words. Because
it can be 2 words.
If we do a person, I want to hear
political
first and last
password.
name.
Yeah,
political password.
Okay,
So
whatever. Okay,
if it's a figure, there could be, it's not Jeopardy. Is all I'm saying. Okay. All right. So quickly mute.
Couldn't you
I'm going
just
to
do
take
that
my
in
headphones
post?
off for 5 seconds now. Okay.
Yeah, and Bruce is going to go first, Tim. All right.
Here we go.
As always.
Okay.
Tim, are you muted? The password is Ross.
No. I didn't hear it. Did you say it?
I said it. I think you think you might have blah 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 all over me, but
I hope everybody heard it. Okay.
For the video watchers, we'll also put it on the screen so they can see it.
Okay, give me a clue.
All right, so Bruce first. Reform.
Judaism.
As a political movement? Interesting.
No. Okay.
All right, to Tim. Infomercial.
Mike Lindell.
Not bad. Back
is
to
it
Bruce.
A person or a movement?
Remember, it's a person, a movement, or it could be a document.
It's not an adverb though. Okay. All right. Fine.
Back to Bruce.
Okay.
Little.
A little reform movement infomercial. And it's political. Ross Perot.
Correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Are
ding.
you kidding me?
Really?
Come on,
really?
The infomercial should. I could see the Lindell on the infomercial, but yeah. What didn't you like about it, Tim? You're going to question me?
I didn't even like it, and
I was going to say when you said reform, I was thinking, Ross Perot. It's like, oh no, it's a current events password.
Yeah, I thought of Ross Perot too when he said reform, and I thought, no, that's why I said Judaism, because I didn't want to look stupid guessing Ross Perot. Okay.
Yeah, neither did I.
All
right. Next one. Should we just tell us when you're going to start?
Next one. Now, Tim does the next one first.
Okay.
So you're going to la la la. All right.
Yeah,
you ready?
Ready? Here I go.
The password.
La 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 la.
Bill Clinton is the password. Bill Clinton.
Are we done? Okay.
We're done. We're good. So Tim goes first on this one. Cigar.
Monica Lewinsky.
Ooh,
incorrect.
Bruce. Very good.
Hillary.
Cigar. Hillary.
Close but no cigar.
Bill Clinton.
Ding, 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 ding.
You don't know how to play this. You're too smart. You outsmart yourself, Tim.
I know he's going one step too far.
Stop looking at each of the openings of Better Call Saul and start dumbing yourself down so you can get the answer.
Well, that's what I was thinking about the opening, not the person who owned the cigar. I was thinking about the opening where it was placed.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Well,
we are now back to Bruce starting. Do your la 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 so I can do the password.
Okay, here we go.
The password is Justin Trudeau.
It's old American. Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right.
Blackface.
Oh. Justin Trudeau.
Ding, 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 ding. Bruce, you are cleaning house here. Now it was the best of 3, and Bruce went 3-0. I got a couple more if you want to clean it up, or do you have something to talk about for a couple minutes?
You got something? Any more Saul things, Tim? That you?
How many minutes?
Any more Saul Easter eggs?
Solecisms.
There was another one, but I totally
forgot that.
Yeah, I already forgot what it was. So
yeah, you want to go back in the time machine to the first segment? Yeah, all right. Well, we could just try one more password just for fun.
You could also talk about rice cakes if you wanted.
Well, the only thing I wanted to say about rice cakes was, when you take them out of the bag, they fall apart all over the place, and then they get on the floor and everything. And I just think that there should be an adhesive in the rice cakes. That's all.
Either that, or you could pretend that they never were cakes and just like smash them up and eat them like Cheetos.
There you go. What's the deal with rice cakes?
Or do you actually try to use them as a bread substitute and put like peanut butter on them and stuff like that?
Well, they'll just disintegrate.
Sure.
That won't really work. Well, Tim, on that really profound note, thank you for joining me on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And this is our bonus segment in which we do Wolf's World and Tim's Town, which I forget every time we do it, what it's all about. Boy, well, they'd never ask me to host Jeopardy, would they?
Wolf's World, Tim's Town, and Chris's comments.
Oh, okay. Sure. It's all we have to. All our answers have to be in alliterations. Okay, I get that. All right, Chris, go ahead.
So I delve
or
deep
get going. I should say that's the alliteration. What?
Or get this over with is what you probably really mean.
It's not an alliteration, so no. Go ad nauseum.
So I rifle through Bruce's Twitter feed, Tim's Facebook usually, where he is more active. Find what I think are sometimes funny, sometimes just I might have a question about them. So we show the tweet, we read the tweets for the people listening, and then I usually ask you a question of what was this about, what were you thinking, or we just get the cheap laugh off it and move on.
No, and I love the fact that the clarity is not my one main virtue, I guess. So you need me to explain. Yeah, I just
clarity challenged to keep the alliteration going.
Well, sometimes 140 characters, it's tough to squeeze that in, right?
I just like to say res ipsa loquitur to everything, which means the thing speaks for itself. But go ahead, you just challenge me right now.
And you like to show off your Latin.
Yeah, there you go. Legal Latin. Yeah.
So the first one, we enter Wolf's World. And by the way, all these are from like June because they were left over from another segment. So they might not be super topical. But we look at a picture of former Illinois Governor Jim Thompson. Items collected by former Illinois Governor Jim Thompson to be sold this weekend. And then your tweet was knee pads for begging state legislators to give the White Sox a new ball.
Yeah. So Jim Thompson, our late governor, was lobbying with the state legislature to get funds for the new Comiskey Park. The White Sox were threatening to move to St. Petersburg. They had their stadium was under construction there. I actually did a piece for Channel 32 where I went down there and threw rocks at the stadium. And
it is weird because no one wears white socks in St. Petersburg. It should have been the St. Petersburg flip flops.
There were, yeah, right. They would have changed the name of the team, and you know what? They should have changed the name of the team because my beloved White Sox are always going to be a Chicago thing, and not anywhere else. Yeah, what team?
Were the Expos still around back then? They were, right? Chicago kept the name and bought the Expos.
The Expos. Boy, that's 1988. I don't know when I think the Expos went into the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I could never recognize the Expos because I couldn't read their baseball caps. I always thought it said E. Well, it did say EB, Expos Baseball, but it also looked like an M for Montreal.
Those final years playing in Puerto Rico, remember? And no fans in Montreal, so they would just go down and play like 20 games in Puerto Rico.
Oh, exactly.
That was the 90s, though. Yes, the Expos were still around.
So anyway, Thompson he literally got on his knees. They were covering it live, getting on his knees, lobbying with legislators.
Literally?
Not figuratively.
Wow.
But literally got on his knees. Well, Thompson was a tall guy even on his knees.
He could have been a California state district attorney.
Okay, hi-yo. See, I wasn't going to go there. And,
that's why you got me, Bruce, so you don't have to.
I wanted an innocent construction of the term knee pads, that he just needed it because he was going to be on the floor there, literally, trying to lobbying the state legislators, and it passed, and the rest is history. The White Sox won a World Series.
The glorious grand old dome of Comiskey was torn down.
I'm so old school that I still was suspicious about them tearing it down, even when chunks of the upper deck were falling into the lower deck. I think you could patch that up. Come on. Well, I mean, that was the ballpark that I grew up in, and
sure. Absolutely.
I grew up in there because I was homeless, and we used to just sneak in. I lived either there
back when you could get a game and a couple bags of peanuts for a nickel.
Pretty much. We're talking about Luke Appling era, of course, and when he would foul off strike three by bunting for 3.5 hours, and they finally had to change the rules that you couldn't bunt with 2 strikes and foul it off, because he literally, and I kid you not, he could foul off 1,000 pitches. Oh, okay, so anyway, I'm just trying to stretch this segment a little bit, and so there you have an explanation of my tweet, which really needed no explanation.
So we move on to Tim's Town.
Sure.
Oh boy.
Tim, post from you on Facebook. For those who doubted the close relationship between socialism and fascism, just look at how quickly Russia made the transition. This is from February. I had to go back for that. But I just wanted to say, just wanted to show off your intellectual prowess here.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the news. It just occurred to me that Russia is no longer socialist. They're pretty much a fascist.
That's such a deep thought. I looked at transition and I immediately thought of that swimmer from Penn who won all the NCAA accolades. So that's where my mind.
Or Brittany Griner, who gets accused of it. And
does she?
Apparently not. Apparently, have you heard her talk? I didn't think anything until I actually heard her in the courtroom, and I went, "When does Brittany talk?" It's like, is that her attorney?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Brittany at this stage can distinguish, like the old time liberals used to do, between the communism of the Soviet Union and the fascism of Nazi Germany. I dare say, Tim, that she would blur that distinction, considering she never did have her rights read to her.
Well, I believe it was Friedrich Hayek that said that eventually the Soviet Union would be indistinguishable from Nazi Germany, and he was pretty much on.
Yeah.
Tim, I had one more question for you on this. Oops. Yeah. Let me bring it up really quick, because I think it. When you were putting this together, why does it keep showing Bruce? When you're putting this together, did you put a lot of thought into this background?
Yeah, I thought of that too. The red background. Yes.
You had there's Christmas trees and snowmen. Their play on the.
No, he just had some leftover wrapping paper from Christmas.
I don't know if it was because of Valentine's Day, or I just wanted red and I was doing it on my phone, which is a smaller screen, and I didn't see the snowmen and Christmas trees.
Couldn't find the swastika emoji.
Hammer and sickle. Okay, on to Bruce. Bruce, this was you retweeted Dan Rather, who tweeted, my suspicion is that Matthew McConaughey is actually speaking for a lot more gun owners, certainly responsible gun owners, than the NRA. And then you tweeted at Marge Halpern. I don't know.
Right. I used to work with her at WXRT because she's the one who had quoted Dan Rather.
Dan, whom I've interviewed twice, he was fun. Also had a suspicion about President Bush, which got Dan fired. Who are the irresponsible gun owners? The millions who shoot up schools? Oh, right. They don't. Okay, Marge. Raise the age to 21, state by state happy. Now, this is before you keep shifting on this.
How do I shift on this?
Well, you were for a assault weapon ban last week, remember?
I didn't say it was for a ban.
Do you listen to your own show?
If you would like to impeach me, I mean, this
was a month before the Highland Park shooting, though. In his defense, Chris, it's
so So yeah, it didn't hit home, if you will, for Bruce's month.
Oh boy,
Way down in
skewer me
Texas.
right now. There should be. You're assaulting me, sir, with your rhetoric. There should be an assault ban. I'm having a difficult time with the issue. I mean, seriously, I just don't.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, my prediction, and I don't think this is necessarily something that I want to see happen, but if there are more shootings like that, like Uvalde and Highland Park, you're going to get a ban. And but people just aren't going to put up with it. And in the long run, I don't know if we're better off actually repealing the Second Amendment, because I think that will encourage a docility in the populace that I don't really want to see. And of course, you talk about slippery slopes. Second Amendment goes, the first one could follow. So,
but the Second Amendment that is the one that keeps the first one in check.
It might very well. And the problem is, on the other hand, we're getting these shootings, and look, there's all kinds of solutions. Mental health should be improved. We should be throwing more people into the cuckoo's nest. There's all kinds of problems.
I think we need good common sense media control. I think
reasonable. Reasonable media.
I think the founding fathers they could have never envisioned the 24-hour news cycle.
Absolutely not.
Freedom of the press the press was a wooden Gutenberg press.
Right, sir. Amen to that. And Abraham Lincoln threw newspaper editors in jail. Now, granted, he had a civil war going on, so it was more than a Pritzker emergency dictated by the Chicago Teachers Union. I'll grant you that.
But we're going on 3 months of Uvalde now. I mean, and Chicago has an Uvalde every single weekend, and it doesn't make national news. I mean,
but
we obsess on these shootings.
Because it's kids in schools, and I'm telling you, that's forgettable, or at parades, and
I know it shouldn't be any
different.
Lonely, isolated kids, and we reward them with infamy.
And on that kissy face note, we end the bonus segment on the weekly wrap.
And that's the weekly wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The weekly wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production. Copyright 2022.